Hello, this is Bernie Wall, and firstly I'd like to wish you a very happy new year 2019, and secondly just to apologise for not posting any videos for the last 2 to 3 weeks. This is because of it being Christmas New Year, which is a very busy period for us here in the UK. But this is the first video of 2019, and I want you to consider making sure that in 2019 you get the IELTS result that you want and you move on with your new course, new life, new job, whatever it is that you need the IELTS for. So I'm urging you to make this your top New Year resolution, and I'm here to support you in that. And for this first video, I want to give you 10 steps that I personally feel are vital to take in preparing for the IELTS and making sure that your scores increase and get to the level that you want. So this is what I want to explain to you in this video and urge you to follow. So as usual, I have a short presentation to share with you. So I'll just get that up and then we can go through the 10 steps that I want you to follow in order to achieve your result sometime this year, but preferably sooner rather than later. So I hope this is your top resolution, and if it isn't, then perhaps you might like to flip things and make it your resolution from today. So let's move on with the top 10 tips. So the first 3. Check exactly what score you really need. I quite often have students come to me saying they want 9. Now 9 is native speaker, and some people will get that, some people won't. Even some native speakers might not quite get it if they haven't prepared well. But what I'm urging you to do here is to really make sure what the score is that you are being asked for, because that will be your minimum. Now, it's a wonderful thing to try and get higher than that. And it will give you a lot of self-esteem if you manage to do that. It will also mean that when you go to your course or your new job or your new country, you will be very well equipped to deal with all the language things that you meet there. So having a higher score is actually a good idea. But you need to know what your minimum is, because if you don't know what your minimum is, you don't have a start point. So check exactly the score that you are being required to get. Once you've done that, then check exactly where you are in relation to this IELTS band. So if you need 7 overall, how far away are you from that 7? So quite often, even if you're asked with a 7 overall, there'll be a minimum score in each part. So let's say if your minimum score is 6, if you're still getting 5.5 in one of the modules or 2 of the modules, then you know that you need to improve to the minimum in order to fulfill the requirement. And then you still have to get the 7 overall. So make sure that you know exactly which parts of the exam still need more preparation. The other thing is, within each of the modules, so within the listening, within the reading, find out exactly what parts of it are causing you to lose marks. So for example, in the reading, it might be headings, it might be yes, no, not given, it might be multiple choice. In the writing, perhaps you're having some issues with spelling, or maybe you feel your vocabulary is not good enough. But whatever it is, you need to know this exactly. And I would write all this down. So what's my score? How far am I away from that score? And what is stopping me from getting that score? So you have a really clear picture of where you are and what you need to do. And this then links on to the third thing, which is to collect together the materials that will help you to improve this score. Now, I don't mean all of the 13, I think there are Cambridge books and websites where you can pull off listening tests and reading tests. That's all well and good. But what I'm talking about is materials that address the issues. So if you have a problem with spelling, you need something that's going to help you improve your spelling. If you have a problem with punctuation, you need something to help you with that. If it's grammar, you need some grammar resource. So the materials that you collect together are not just IELTS tests. Just doing IELTS tests is not going to help you improve your score systematically and perhaps even quickly. But addressing the small things that you're making mistakes with, will help you improve that score. So grammar, spelling, vocabulary, whatever it is, get those materials as well as your IELTS tests. Think about where you're making mistakes in the IELTS. So if in the reading you're having problems with yes, no, not given, true, false, not given, then look for specific passages, IELTS reading passages that have these questions in them. If it's multiple choice in listening, then look for listening tests that have a lot of multiple choice so that you can actually work on these areas. Just randomly doing test after test is not going to move you as quickly to where you want to be. So collect together the materials that you need. Okay, then step 4, set yourself a study plan. Now, if you saw my video from a few weeks ago on this topic, you will know that I went through an example of a study plan that would help you to address every small area that you need to address in order to improve your skills. I have put a copy of this study plan on my website, IELTSlearningtips.com. So if you go across there, you'll be able to download that and use it. However, if you have your own study plan, or if you use a diary, a learning diary, then you can use that. It doesn't matter what it is. Often it's better if you do it yourself because you're used to it. So, so long as it's detailed, so long as it refers to all of the things that you found in step 2, which were the things you needed to improve, so long as those are included in it, then any plan that you like to use will be fine. But make sure that you follow it systematically and regularly. So every time you do a lesson, write down what was good, what needs more improvement, how you're going to improve it. But if you don't have a study plan and you'd like to follow mine, then go across to that website, IELTSlearningtips.com, and you'll be able to download it from there. Okay, let's move on to step 5. Small, effective steps. Okay, so I mentioned before that just doing full tests over and over is not going to help you to improve quickly, but small, effective steps will do. So if you find you're having an issue with multiple choice questions in listening, take a whole session and just look at multiple choice questions. Try 2 or 3 different listening passages that all have multiple choice and just work on multiple choice. If you have a problem with yes, no, not given, just work on yes, no, not given. If you have a problem in writing with your introduction, just work on introductions or just work on planning. It's these small, effective is a key word here, steps that will help you to improve. You've probably heard me talk about sports people before, like footballers or marathon runners. Footballers and marathon runners do not play whole football games every day or run marathons every day. They spend a lot of time just working on small things. With a marathon runner, it might be something on their breathing, or it might be something on their start. With a footballer, it might be something on their passing or something on their tackling. And they work endlessly on these small things, these small effective steps. And that improves their performance in the game and in the race overall. And this is what you need to do. You need to address these small things so that they will help you to improve your score overall. And then you put those into your study plan so that you've got a record of what they were and you know exactly what you have achieved and what you still need to work on. Check and correct everything you do. Okay, this is part of the small effective steps. So let's say you do a section of yes, no, not given. Check your answers. When you've checked your answers, go back to the text and look at those questions carefully and ask yourself, why did I get that wrong? What is it that I missed in the question? Or what is it that I missed in the passage, in the text, that stopped me from getting that answer correct? And the more you analyze these things, the more you'll see things that you need to be aware of when you do a reading, or things that you need to be careful about when you do a listening. And there are several small things. It might be a small word you've overlooked, but it might be that you were supposed to change the grammar and you didn't change the grammar. So whatever it is, make sure you take note of it so that if you get a question like that next time, you will know, I need to change the grammar here, or I need to be very careful of that word only in the sentence. So checking, correcting, going back, looking again, taking another step, all of these small things will help you to improve your score overall. Okay, let's move on to step 7. Analyze your results. Okay, we analyzed our results in step 6, but I'm talking here about analyzing your results over a period. So maybe every week or every 2 weeks, have a look. And this is why it's important to keep a plan. So you may find that you don't feel you're making progress. But if you look at your results over a period of, say, 2 weeks, you may find that whereas 2 weeks ago you were only getting 27 in your reading, now you're getting 29 or 30. And so it helps to boost your confidence and it helps to raise your self-esteem if you can see that there is a little bit of progress. So by keeping records, analyzing your results, you can see your progress and make your steps incremental. So if you're getting 29 in your reading, make sure next week you set yourself a target for 30 or 31. The same with the listening. Try and improve that by 1 mark or 2 marks. Don't jump too far because that then will make you more demoralized. But if your steps are short and small, then you'll be able to achieve them. And then you can see how gradually, by having these small targets each week, you'll be able to achieve a much higher score quite quickly and a lot more easily. And by analyzing your results over time, you'll be able to build your confidence and see exactly what's going on. Okay, move on using this knowledge. So what I mean is that once you've learnt a certain word that to take note of in a question, or once you've learnt that in this passage you might need to look at the previous sentence, or you might need to look at the next sentence, you can use that knowledge in the next test or in the next session of your practice. So keep everything in mind as you move along, and then move your target another 2 points or another 1 point, depending on how easily you feel you can do it. But as you take note of everything and apply it to the next test or the next practice session, you'll find that gradually it becomes second nature. So another of the things I often say is, knowing is not enough. It has to be practiced. So you may know, for example, that in a yes or not given question, if you see the word only, this could be significant. But unless you keep practicing that, you'll forget it. So when you've got the knowledge, practice it, apply it to future questions, and then gradually it will become second nature. And once it becomes second nature, that's when the speed starts to happen. So once it's second nature, you don't need to think about it, it's automatic, and then you will see that the reading in particular and also the writing will get faster without you having to look at the clock. And monitor your progress. So write everything down. See where you're going. Are you meeting your targets? If you're not meeting your targets, then go back and say, okay, why is this yes, no, not given improving? Go back and look at why you're getting them wrong. So it's all about moving forwards. And if you hit a brick wall and you can't move any further forwards, then go back and check again. But this is the small effective steps I mentioned before, that you have to keep monitoring, improving, going back where you need to, then monitor, improve again. And it's on minute details, but these minute details are what will help you to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra marks. And that is key in getting your band. And finally, once you've done all of these steps, you will get to a point where you know that you can get your score in the exam. And I've worked with many, many, many students over the years, and I can see this change from being quite nervous and worried to being very confident and saying, right, I know now I can do this, so I'm going to book my exam for 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time, whatever it is. And you will know it. If you don't feel it, you're probably not ready. But it seems to me that you shouldn't take too much notice of outside deadlines, like when the university wants your result. I know that's important, but if you're not ready, you're not going to get it, even if they request it. So that's another reason why you should begin your practice very, very early and monitor it carefully. You may be worried that the immigration rules might change. Okay, that may happen, but if you're not ready, then it's not going to help you, even if you rush your exam. So book your exam when you feel confident that you can get the scores you want in every part of the test. That's the only time to book it. There's just one other time, and that is if you want to take the test to just see where you are. Now, that's an expensive way of finding this out, and I'm pretty sure that a good IELTS teacher would be able to tell you that without having to take the exam. But there are some people who just want to go through the process so that they have the experience and they have an idea of where they are vis-a-vis their test, their result that they need. And if you're prepared to pay for the exam for that reason, then fine. But other than that, I would only start thinking about the exam when you know you can achieve the score. So using these 10 steps, being very, very detailed in your preparation and practice will help you not only to achieve the result that you are asked for, but probably to achieve a much higher result than the one that's expected. And that can only be helpful for you when you move on to your new course, new job, or new country. So as I mentioned before, go over to IELTS Learning Tips where you'll find that plan, and also the article that I wrote on this topic, which has more details and 1 or 2 links to places where you can get help, particularly with things like spelling and vocabulary. Please make passing your exam your top New Year's resolution for 2019. And I wish you luck this year in your preparation and practice. And I hope that many of you will get it this year and move on. So thank you for listening to this, and I'll see you in the next video.